Welcome to the Beyond Ordinary Woman podcast. Every 2 weeks, we'll post a podcast version of one of our free training videos, but you can access them now at beyondordinarywomen.org. This episode or series includes downloadable information on our website, beyondordinarywomen.org. Go to Resources on the main menu and click on podcast/video extras. Enjoy the podcast. Welcome to Beyond Ordinary Women Ministries. I'm Sharifa Stevens, and I'm here with Susan Seay, which is my absolute pleasure. We've been talking about beginning the road to racial reconciliation, and there were just a few things that we wanted to work through that we didn't get on the other 3 videos. We ended by talking about some do's and don'ts as you enter into the racial reconciliation conversation, specifically with women of color, since a lot of our audience serves in women's ministry. And there were a couple of points that I just wanted to share and get feedback on. First, I keep hanging out, as I read through the Gospels, I keep hanging out in the place of empathy and humility. Those 2 themes keep coming up, and empathy is the ability to sit in the person's circumstances, in their pain, not merely to observe them, but also to be able to feel the weight of those emotions and feelings. And it is a beautiful gift to give and also to receive. And I really, my prayer for the people of God is that our empathy muscle grows, that it is conditioned. I think that way too many times, especially in the race conversation in America, sympathy has been in abundance, but empathy has been a rarity.
It's missing.
It's missing. And we shouldn't have to look like the person who's hurting. We shouldn't have to be in the exact same circumstances of the person who's hurting or the people group who are hurting in order to feel with them.
How about to believe them?
Right. And that's the veracity of their experiences dignifies them, and the empathy with them moves us. So there's an intellectual assent to believing, and then there is a heart assent to entering into that pain. Does that make sense?
It totally does. Can I share something right here?
Yes.
Okay, so one of the things that I teach is that when we have conversations, we can have them on one of 3 levels. So our first level of conversation is surface level. And this is simply acknowledging the presence of another person. You do this all the time if you're walking down the hallway and you say, hey, how you doing? And the person says, hey, I'm good. You keep it moving. So I don't want people to hear surface is bad. It's just acknowledging the presence of another. But level 2 is where the information, statistics, and data rests. That's the head level. And we have a lot of conversations, especially around racial reconciliation, around facts, information, statistics, and data. And it's good to have that information, but it robs us if we stay there. Because the third level and the critical level is the heart level. And that's where we connect. And here's the important key about level 3. It's the only level where we transform.
Yes.
That's where things change. And we try to change with head knowledge, and we try to change with statistics and information, and they inform us, but they don't move us. And so when you just said sympathy is when we know of your story, and empathy is when we feel your story, when we connect with your story. That's what moves us on your behalf. It moves us to desire change. And that's where the church can have profound impact. And if we look to the one we seek to emulate, as we are Christians and we want to be like Christ, he was masterful at heart level conversation.
Moved by compassion.
Yes.
How many of the miracles of Jesus, the preamble was, and moved by compassion. So that's absolutely right. The other thing that I wanted to mention that I didn't get to mention before was how our faith is ancient and it's global.
Yes.
So we can take comfort and inspiration from that. I think it's easy for me to be myopic in my view of the faith. It is very much localized in my American experience. It is very much time-based, tethered to the 21st century. But this is an ancient faith that has, we have cousins. You know, we have cousins in the church fathers of North Africa. And we have cousins in the hidden house churches of China. We are a global family, and God is glorified in that diversity.
Yes,
He made it. He created the languages, and he's not doing away with them.
No.
So in Revelation 7:9, we see people from every tribe and tongue praising God. And I know that it's going to be a symphony of language and a rainbow of hues and heights and girths.
Yes. Amen to that.
And abilities and ages and all creation, but especially us, we made in his image, will glorify him in a state devoid of sin, but perfectly within the way he made us in our ethnicity, in our embodiment. And that's what we're aiming for here. Like, why wait?
Right. Yeah. How about we bring his kingdom here in this moment, in our life, in our lifetime, that we begin to experience exactly what God uniquely designed and called us to. Because he called us to this work.
He did.
We who are of faith are called to this work as much as we are called to teach and preach and all these other parts of ministry.
Yes.
Reconciliation is part of our call.
Absolutely. And you see it in the book of Acts. So you see it at the birth of the church, reconciliation was part of the birth of the church.
Yeah.
So we see it in the way Paul deftly assigned men who were full of the Spirit to help care for widows, because there was beef between the Hellenistic Jews and the Jerusalem Jews. In the widows, one group was getting more than the other. And Paul was on that.
And we see the inequality being dealt with.
It was nipped right in the bud, and it was nipped in the bud by assigning people who were very sensitive to the task, who were full of the Spirit and who were aware of the culture that they were dealing with. We can do that.
Yes,
this is our heritage.
Yes.
And that church thrived. And it thrived because the Spirit of God was in it, and because unity and love for one another bears witness to the veracity of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yes. So if we want our gospel to be winsome to the world, then this is the work that we need to prioritize in our reading of the gospel, in our studying of the gospel, in our relationships, in the voices and perspectives we're listening to. We recognize that this is not something we should do one day or something that we will one day enter into, but today is the day that the Lord has made.
That's right.
And so we will step into the work and stand in the call that he has called us to.
Susan, I'm really glad that you were able to come and talk to me and to us today. I hope you'll come back.
I would love to do that. I think there's just so much more we could say, right?
So I know we just barely scratched the surface. Thank you for being here too. And if you need more information, again, beyondordinarywomen.org has it for you. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to the Beyond Ordinary Women podcast. You can find more podcasts and information about women in leadership by going to beyondordinarywomen.org. This podcast was produced by Beyond Ordinary Women Ministries. Our production team includes Evelyn Babcock, Kay Daigle, Kay Halligan, Deborah Herring, Sharifa Stevens, and John Sparks. Theme music, Back in Stride by Don Miller, used by courtesy of Christine Miller.